Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. You're going to want to stick around for this one because the Dead by Daylight 3-year anniversary stream has just finished, and we're going to, in this video, just quickly recap all of the information. There's a lot of information that's been dropped in this stream. We're just going to go through everything that has been covered, so there's plenty of different things and plenty of different categories, from a Freddy rework and new map reworks to general updates to more info on the new Ghostface killer that's coming. So, starting off with general changes and updates mentioned in the stream. So, we have here the roadmap for the next year of Dead by Daylight. As we can see, general changes that were talked about. 2 new maps are coming, 2 new map reworks are coming, one of them being Badham Preschool, and then some general matchmaking improvements were also touched on. So this included topics on adding dedicated servers to Dead by Daylight finally, which is something we've all wanted for a while. Punishments for disconnecting players, which I think will be very interesting and also is very needed. Optimizing the game's running robustness, if that makes sense. So the amount of times that it crashes when you're loading in or people disconnect, it's quite frustrating. So they're trying to fix that and make that less common in the matchmaking. Then a really interesting addition here is the party management and in-game friend list. This was something that was also asked by the community for a long time, and along with this, re-queuing for games. So if a killer does disconnect, for example with a Survive with Friends lobby, you can re-queue with your friends straight from that friends list immediately into a new queue. So that's really good as well. Also, furthermore, they said a mobile version is coming, which might interest some of you people that want to play this on your phones. Also, a Switch version is coming, which was briefly shown as well. More info, however, on our roadmap can be found in our other video, basically describing what the roadmap means to Dead by Daylight for the next year, so be sure to check that video out if you haven't already after you watch this one. The next thing that's touched upon in Dead by Daylight's livestream is the archive. So this is really interesting. So the archive is based about, well, the lore behind it is it's based about a character called the Archivist or the Observer. They haven't quite, obviously this is all in development, so they haven't decided yet, but it's based around this character who probes the entity for new information to add to the archive. So this includes mid-chapter tomes, which are essentially challenges, and there's going to be, it's kind of like a blood web but for challenges. So there are going to be 4 difficulty levels apparently for these tomes, and completing them will give you completion charms, which are basically a cosmetic for survivors to equip like a little charm on their belt, or killers to equip a charm on their hook. Next is the Rift, which is basically cosmetic rewards. It's kind of like a battle pass, kind of like, you know, different tiers with different rewards. And they have specified that this is not going to be pay to win. There's going to be no pay to win things in this, like camouflage skins or ninja skins or that kind of stuff, which is really nice to hear. Next is also a rank rework along with this. So this is going to lead to longer seasons, rewards for ranking, and a completely new system in general, which will very much complement the Rift and the Archive in these kind of new branches and challenges. And this is all expected to launch in the mid-chapter for Chapter 13. The devs then went to move on to the design section of the stream, where they talked about a few things like the Freddy rework. So the Freddy rework is covered in this stream, and they cover the different abilities that he's been given. So first off, micro sleep, which is his new passive ability, 60 seconds to enter the dream state for the survivors. So that just happens passively over time. Freddy is visible to survivors who aren't in the dream state up close, but then he's intermittent at medium distances, and he's completely invisible when he's far enough away. On top of this, maps will also include a new item that you can go to, a new kind of place that you can go to wake up from the dream state, kind of like the pig and her removing the head trap, bear trap, going to the different boxes, that kind of thing. The dream abilities for Freddy are now, well, they're still in development, so they're not conclusive which ones will be coming, which ones won't. But firstly, they've said that fake pellets are going to be introduced. So this means that 4 pallets are removed from the real map and they're placed into the dream state world, and they explode into blood upon use, and they can only be used in the dream world. On top of this, dream snares are to be added, which are basically traps in the dream world that take 2 seconds to activate, and survivors are slowed by the traps when they step on them for a duration of time. Also, Freddy has an incredibly frightening ability, which is generator teleportation. So he can teleport to gens, but it takes 5 seconds to charge, and blood spurts out of the generator during this time, but from the footage they showed on the stream, this seems like it could be very jump scare-esque, and this could be some of the most thrilling and frightening gameplay that has been added for a long time. Past the Freddy rework, we also have a Badham preschool rework, which also encompasses different aspects of just general map reworks. So this is going to include, well, firstly, a complete rework for the preschool, but secondly, for all maps, less effective pallet loop spots are going to be added. So you're not going to have the massive pallet loop spots that appear on some of the maps. Instead, they're going to be replaced with more abundant, smaller pallet loop spots, which can allow for some more skillful and intense gameplay. Furthermore, the totems are being hidden better, basically. They're being replaced and moved into different places where they are harder to spot, which will definitely give a nice advantage for the killer that's kind of deserved. The totems are a little bit obvious at the moment. Also, they are removing the quote-unquote fat-shaming spots. Yes, that's what they called them. That's what we know them as. The spots where you want to go, say, between 2 trees and you get stuck because, you know, this game has some bugs. They are removing those spots. They're working on removing them, which is absolutely fantastic. That's something that is definitely needed and can lead to a few frustrating chase moments, really. On top of this, just generally, there are some new layout variants for the maps and new tiles that are going to be implemented into the random generation stage of the maps, so that should also be very interesting. Nice to see some variety that they're including, and it means that we'll have to learn the maps all over again, and there's going to be more difficulty, you know, just memorizing the maps, which is good because that takes away from the intense thrill of the game. Now onto the bit that everyone really was waiting for. The devs finally covered Ghostface. So the first thing to say about Ghostface is we have a little bit of information on his lore. Be sure to check back with us when the official lore drops with the PTB, but we know that this killer is a unique character. So he's not Billy Loomis or Stu Macher. He is completely new. He is completely unique to Dead by Daylight, just donning the iconic Ghostface mask. So the character is passive during the day, he's a journalist. But during the night, his narcissistic killer instincts cut in and he becomes Ghostface. As they put very eloquently in the stream, he reveals his true face at night by putting on the mask. The police eventually catch onto him as a suspect and he intends to flee to a new city, but he gets caught by the entity before the police can catch him and tie his murderous events to his own name. However, as I said before, more info will be coming on the lore very soon. Now, Ghostface power was also covered in the stream and his 3 perks. So his power is Night Shroud, which basically when activated gives him a 0 meter terror radius, no terror radius, and he moves at 4.6 meters a second, which is maximum speed. He can crouch, which leads some teabagging moments, which I know a lot of you also like from the pig, so, you know, you can teabag as Ghostface as well. So he also stops emitting red stain, and he can lean around corners. And he can also stalk for 4 seconds per survivor, which exposes that specific survivor for 20 seconds, but each character is separately stalked and has their own accumulation of stalk that is separate and unique to them. In a 32 meter range, if you look at him for 1 second, that will put him out of this Night Shroud stealth mode though. His first perk is also covered. It's called I'm All Ears. Basically, any rushed actions outside of Ghostface's terror radius will display the survivor aura for 6 seconds. His second perk is Thrilling Tremors, which, when picking up a downed survivor, blocks the generators for 16 seconds that aren't being fixed. And as the devs mentioned, if you're a more keen-eyed killer here, you may be able to work out which generators are still being worked on from this perk, and therefore work out where survivors are working on generators, which could be very advantageous and lead to some very skillful play. His final perk is Furtive Chase, which is a little bit of a complicated one. When obsessions are hooked, the terror radius is reduced by 4 meters up to 4 tokens for the tier 3 stage of this perk. The obsession also changes from the hooked survivor to the person who unhooked them upon that unhook. So that's an interesting perk, but also a potentially very powerful one if it's used correctly, and if the obsession is focused, you can really get some bang for your buck out of that perk. Now, this PTB for Ghostface is launching June the 4th, so very soon, this Tuesday, and we will have videos on that when it comes out. And Ghostface is expected to launch officially on June the 18th, so be sure to look out for that. And yeah, that is it. So everything covered in this stream. Let's go over it again one more time for you guys. So we start off with some general changes to matchmaking and friends and the whole system of finding games and queuing for games. Next, we introduce the archive, which is different challenges, and it's got the rift, which is like a battle pass kind of thing, and it's got new ranks and new rank reworks and new longer rank seasons. Then we have the Freddy rework, which sounds very terrifying and sounds very effective, and this also is going to include a Bedham preschool rework and also general map reworks. And finally, Ghostface has been announced, a little bit of his lore has been revealed, and his power and perks have also been revealed in the stages of development that they are in. So overall, I think this was a very good stream for Dead by Daylight. Very good information coming out here, and you know, kind of just what the community wanted to hear. You know, by the sounds of what the devs have been saying in this stream, it sounds like Dead by Daylight is up for potentially one of the best runs of updates for the next year that it's had in all the 3 years that it's been out. It seems like there's a lot of necessary changes and a lot of positive movement in the right direction here for Dead by Daylight. So that wraps this up pretty much. Let us know what you think to this new information basically that's been released. Like if you enjoyed this video and learned something, subscribe for more content like this. This has been AKA covering the Dead by Daylight 3-year anniversary stream in a little concise version, and thank you for watching. Yeah, peace out, see you in the next one.